So the student that I'm going to be focusing on today is named Mary Ann M. She's in 4th grade, and I'm going to be discussing her English Language Arts Literacy Assessment PARCC report as well as her Mathematics PARCC report. So just to start things off, just want to clarify that both of these reports, they show whether or not Mary Ann has met the grade level expectations and is on track for the next grade. It is an assessment, but it's not the be-all, end-all of how Mary Ann is performing academically. It's just one measure, just like how the report states clearly here, that it's just one measure of how well a student is performing academically. And the purpose of the PARCC score report is to summarize student achievement, compare it with the Common Core state standards, and it also indicates areas that are in need of improvement. So it does contain valuable information that regards students' performance. So let's talk about Mary Ann's score in English Language Arts. So she received a 742. The lowest score you can receive is a 650. The highest score you can receive is an 850. And this is Mary Ann's score. So if we look at the color here, shading of that purple, we look up here and we see that this shade of purple matches where Mary Ann's score falls. So we can tell that from that she's a level 3. Which means she has approached expectations. So one interesting thing about these terms, exceed expectations, met expectations, and so on, is that they all mean different things. So, and just looking at them, you might not want to take it right at face value, because for example, level 4 and 5, met expectations, exceed expectations. A student that is either at level 4 or 5, this actually means that they are ready to take the next course, the next grade. It means that they're ready for the next level, and that they're also displaying college and career readiness. So I am going to go over each level to define what they mean. So level 1 did not yet meet expectations. That student is not demonstrating readiness for their grade. Level 2, partially met expectations. That student is demonstrating some readiness for their grade. Not fully there yet. Hopefully by the end of the year, they'll be at level 3, approached expectations. This is the minimum score that students need to achieve to pass the PARCC. And this means that they are demonstrating readiness for their grade level, for their course. And so, as indicated before, like what I was talking about with level 4, met expectations. And those are students who have demonstrated readiness not only for their grade level, but for the next grade level, for the next course, and eventually for their college and for their careers. And then level 5, the last level, exceeded expectations. These are students who have, just like level 4, they have demonstrated readiness for their own grade, as well as for the next grade level, and for the next course, and college and career, and beyond, because they've exceeded those expectations. So back to Mary Ann. Again, this is her score, 742. And so she has approached expectations. So she has demonstrated readiness for her own grade, for 4th grade, in English Language Arts and Literacy. So Mary Ann's percentiles for both English Language Arts and mathematics are based on local norms. So a percentile occurs when a student's score is compared with those of other students in a norm group. According to the Popham test, a norm group is based on performances of a group of individuals who have already taken a particular exam. So, as indicated, Mary Ann's percentiles for both English Language Arts and mathematics are based on local norms, which means that the norm group consisted of individuals in Mary Ann's school, district, and state. So if we look at the school average, this means that the average of students in Marianne's school received a score of 714, which will be around here. So the average of students in Marianne's school are at a level 2. So the average of students in Marianne's district received a score of 724, which would be right here. So the average of those students in the district where Marianne lives would still be level 2 on their way to level 3. And then the average of students in the state would be 729. And they would be in the same level that Marianne is, which is level 3, approached expectations. So knowing that Marianne is a level 3, we can look down here at how students in Illinois performed. We'll see that she is of the 35% of those students who are level 3 in English Language Arts and Literacy. So student growth percentile. For Marianne in English Language Arts and Literacy, there was insufficient information available to calculate a student growth percentile. But what that actually means, so the student growth percentile compares a student's performance to that of their academic peers within the state from the previous year. So for example, if a student's growth percentile is 20, that means that the student scored better on the current grades test than 20% of the students who scored similar to them on last year's test. But for this assessment for Marianne, it looks like there was not enough information available to determine that information. So let's see how Marianne performed in reading and writing. So we'll do reading first. So we can see what score it takes in order to meet expectations. So that is a 50. And Marianne received a 58. And we can also see the school average, the district average, and the state average. But let's focus on Marianne. So she received a 58, which is really great. So we'll just go through each section. So for literary text, Marianne performed about the same as students who met or exceeded expectations. So students meet expectations with literary text by showing they can read and analyze fiction, drama, and poetry. For informational text, Marianne performed the same as students who met or exceeded expectations. Students meet expectations by showing they can read and analyze nonfiction, history, science, and the arts. And for vocabulary, Marianne performed about the same as students who approached expectations. Students meet expectations by showing they can use context to determine what words and phrases mean. So, definitely in reading, Marianne's strengths would be reading and analyzing fiction, drama, and poetry, and analyzing nonfiction, history, science, and the arts. And she also is within her grade level in terms of vocabulary. But she can improve in vocabulary, since in literary text and informational text she's meeting and exceeding those expectations. But in vocabulary, she is not ready to go to the next level yet. So taking a look at these results, I would help Marianne make progress this school year by providing her with more opportunities to expand her vocabulary. A great way to do that is to read more. So I would definitely make every attempt to give her those chances to use the context to determine what words and phrases mean. So giving her more challenging text, because she's already displayed that she is exceeding those expectations in terms of reading literary text and informational text. So she can take more challenging texts in order to expand her vocabulary. So for writing, the score to receive would be 35 if you want to meet expectations, and Marianne received a 31. And so we can see the school average, the district average, the state average. And so for writing expression, Marianne performed the same as students who approach expectations. Students meet expectations by showing they can compose well-developed writing using details from what they have read. And for knowledge and use of language conventions, Marianne performed about the same as students who did not yet meet or partially met expectations. Students meet expectations by showing they can compose writing using rules of standard English. So Mary is great at composing well-developed writing using details from what she's read. That is definitely a strength of hers when it comes to writing, but something that I would work on helping Mary make progress in writing is that she would need to become advanced in using those language conventions. Because at this point, she's not composing writing using rules of standard English. So I would tie this in with her vocabulary. If her vocabulary is strengthened, that would definitely help her with composing writing using those rules. But also, we would need to do some writing workshops to help her develop her knowledge and use of language conventions. So moving on to mathematics, we see that Marianne is a level 3. This is her score, just like above, with English Language Arts. With mathematics, she's also a level 3. And then let's just move on to student growth percentile. So actually this information was available for mathematics. Looks like Marianne's score this year is the same as or better than 16% of Illinois students who had a similar score to Marianne on last year's assessment. So how did she perform in areas of mathematics? So for the major content, Marianne performed about the same as students who met or exceeded expectations. Students meet expectations by solving problems involving addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, place value, fraction comparisons, and addition and subtraction of fractions with the same denominators. Additional and supporting content. Marianne performed about the same as students who did not yet meet or partially met expectations. Students meet expectations by solving problems involving number and shape patterns, simple measurement conversions, angle measurements, geometric shapes classifications, and representations of data. Expressing mathematical reasoning. So Marianne performed about the same as students who approached expectations. And students meet these expectations by creating and justifying logical mathematical solutions and analyzing and correcting the reasoning of others. Modeling and application. So Marianne performed about the same as students who met or exceeded expectations. Students meet expectations by solving real-world problems, representing and solving problems with symbols, reasoning quantitatively and strategically using appropriate tools. So Marianne's very good at math. So definitely all of these I would include with her strength. Major content, expressing mathematical reasoning, modeling, and application. But she's not quite meeting those expectations for the additional and supporting content. So she would need to solve more problems that involve number and shape patterns. She would need to do more angle measurements. I would need to give her more simple measurement conversions, geometric shapes classifications, and representations of data in order to help her make progress in additional and supporting content.